Good afternoon to all. It's actually a pleasure to be in South Africa and to present this research topic um, from Liberia, one of the low middle income countries around the world. And my research topic or title is Romance and Fear Endangered the Feasibility of Biobanking in Liberia, and what are some cultural congruent standards that are needed in order to ensure what we call trustworthiness. Please bear with me in my English. And during this presentation, I will be making particular reference to the Ebola crisis in Liberia. And this presentation contains a lot of images instead of more writing, since we just from our lunch break so that we all cannot sleep and it cannot be like boring. Okay, so before I get started to discuss the title of the research, I would just like to give you background about those collaborating partners that make this research title successful and to be presented today. The first one is the St. Joseph Catholic Hospital, of where I work. It's a very unique secondary, one of the best secondary hospitals in the Republic of Liberia, where we have over 200 plus employees, and we had a very beautiful and nice laboratory where all the research are done, and we also have very good hospitality there. So at the St. Joseph Catholic Hospital, our focus there is to provide best quality of healthcare system through the implementing of evidence-based practice and the use of quality improvement methods within our own available resources. Another collaborating partner is the Liberia Medicines and Health Products Regulatory Authority. And this is an autonomous agency under the presidency. So every president that comes, you responsible to make up the board of this particular entity. And the sole purpose in regulating and regulating the conduct of clinical trials or studies, and they're also responsible for the registration of all research, and they're also involved in what we call quality control and post-marketing surveillance of health products. East Global is one of our partners, and it's an institution group based in Barcelona, Spain. And as you can see there, the mission of East Global is to promote health equality through excellence in research and the translation and application of knowledge. So with that said, we go to the background of this research title. Now, it's interesting to know that this whole research thing started in 2016 and 2017 in Liberia, when the St. Joseph Catholic Hospital then formed a partnership with the East Global Research Institute. And that collaboration was all about strengthening laboratory capacities at the St. Joseph Catholic Hospital on infectious diseases, which we have the acronym for short, SELECT. And 2017 up to next year, there's also another collaboration between the St. Joseph Catholic Hospital, the Liberia Medicines and Health Products Regulatory Authority, or LMHRA for short, and the East Global research team. And this collaboration is all about improving governance and research capacities in diagnostics for infectious diseases of the Liberia Medicines and Health Products Regulatory Authority, for which we call short EGOCARDIA, like you were mentioning. There was a mixed mentor study carried between 2016 and 2017, for which brought this central idea of what we refer to as romance and fears that endanger the feasibility of biobanking in Liberia. And this study was of twofold. The first one was quantitative based, and another one was qualitative based. So the quantitative component of this was to assess the malaria prevalence among pregnant women at first antenatal visit at the hospital. And the next one was qualitative component, which was to explore the perceptions on clinical research. And this was made possible by means of trained traditional leaders. They were 10 in numbers, and they form part of what we call the Community Advisory Board, or CAB for short. And this was, like I said earlier, it was all about helping or educating the people on the acceptability to engage in research activities, especially when it comes to the collection, when it comes to transportation, the storage, and the use of blood specimens. So this was the two research that was carried on in 2016 and 2017 for welcome my research title, Rumors and Fear. This was the research that we carry on. It's community-informed research on malaria. This was basically theoretical study. And the other one is opportunities and barriers to engage pregnant women in malaria research in post-Ebola Liberia. So the response from those people during this time of the research is what brought us to our research title. So remember, I said rumors and fear. Now, to not complicate the whole thing, we summarize it as challenge. We just call it challenge, once and for all challenges. So these are the challenges, or these are the rumors, and fears that endanger the feasibility of biobanking in Liberia. As you can see there, we have cultural issues of belief, lack of accountability and good governance, limited access to free healthcare services, the fear of discrimination, lack of trust in healthcare and researchers, and fear of commercializing participants for researchers' benefits. So just to talk about them a little bit, now in Liberia, it is believed that only in clinical areas we are allowed to give blood. Once you give blood outside of clinical areas, we think that it's for some other illicit purpose. Maybe you want to sell them or some other thing. So if anybody sees you, or if somebody comes and tell you, oh, come and give blood outside the clinical setting, you will think like that. So we don't do it in Liberia. Once it's sick, you go to hospitals, the clinics, or the health centers where your blood samples are being collected. Another one is lack of accountability. Now, during the Ebola crisis in Liberia, because blood samples were collected and they were all transported out of Liberia without proper explanation, so it gave us difficult time when we were doing our malaria research study. Now, most people never wanted to engage into the study because their concern was, where were the bloods the bloods that were collected, where were they transported out of Liberia during the Ebola season or crisis, and which country were they transported to, and for what purpose? And I mean, what am I to benefit if those bloods that was collected, since they were transported out of Liberia, what am I to benefit? So this was one of the rumors, or this is one of the rumors in the minds of all Liberians. So it's going to give us hard time to actually have this biobanking thing in Liberia. Another one is this access to health care. Now, in Liberia, once you wear white clothes and you pass around the community and you ask people come and give blood or come and do this, they feel that you're going to carry some medical benefits to them. So because of lack of access to healthcare services in Liberia, we have volunteers who are willing to come and get involved into the process. And that, which of course we know, raises some ethical issues that informed consent and other things. There's another rumors about discrimination. So we believe that all of the blood samples that people can take from us in the hospitals or some other areas, we believe that once they take it, they're going to do follow-up testing like HIV, and they're also going to test for hepatitis or some other infectious diseases, which we believe is going to cause some form of discrimination. So because of this, many people might not want to engage in biobanking in Liberia. Another one is lack of trust. Now, it's something very common in the Republic of Liberia. we Liberians normally, after the Ebola outbreak, we have lacked trust in the whole healthcare system because we feel that during the Ebola crisis, all medical practitioners were then transporting our blood for some benefits well known to themselves instead of benefiting the community. And also the traditional leaders who were also involved, we felt that they were all somehow getting money for their own benefits and not for the benefits of participants that were involved in this whole process. Another one is researchers' benefits. So when you go to Liberia and you want to do research, trust me, nobody will give in to you because they feel that you're going to make a lot of money from them and they're not going to benefit. So this is one of the rumors in the minds of every Liberian there that once you go to do research, it's just for your own benefit and it's not the benefit of the participants. So you'll find people not giving in to the research that you'll be doing. So with that said, I would like to give you recommendations which can help to make the whole biobanking feasible in the Republic of Liberia. The first one is community education. I believe, and my team believe, that once there is more education done, yes, the feasibility of biobanking can be necessary in the Republic of Liberia. And there should also be clear accountability and good governance. So once you're collecting the blood samples or other bio specimens, you have to explain to the people where it is going, how it's going to be used, and who are to benefit. Which, of course, brings us to the next one, benefit sharing plan. Everybody's interested in what am I going to get when the research is done or when you're going to take my blood samples. So a clear benefit sharing plan between the researcher, the regulatory entity, the hospital, and those affected community we think can lead to the smooth feasibility of biobanking in Liberia. And another one is totally anonymous consent. So there should be a well-structured informed consent to help the participant to know that at any point in time you choose to withdraw, you can withdraw. It's not compulsory. And I would also like to recommend that there should be more research on biobanking strategies within the Republic of Liberia, since we are all researchers and we are all interested in this. So to conclude, I would like to appreciate those collaborating entities, the St. Joseph Catholic Hospitals, of which I represent, and our able director, also the nursing director, Guillermo, who is former, he was part of the project, but he's no longer part, and Alfredo, who is our coordinator, and Atula, of course, he has been of great help to me, even though we have a lot of mass between us, but he has actually been of great help, including the patient of the St. Joseph Catholic Hospital, and our sponsor, the European and Developing Countries Clinical Trial Partnership, or EDCTP for short. Thank you.